check this out. Corinth was 5 times the size of Athens back in this day. Historians have excavated this whole area. People don't live there anymore. It's a vacant, it's ruins, just an ancient site. And they've determined that this city was huge, and in fact had a population at this time of 750,000 people, putting it almost on the level of Columbus. That's almost as big as Rome. Rome was 1 million people. That was easily the biggest city in the world, was Rome. Corinth, right there. I mean, it was huge. And this is the main street. Those broken off columns would have gone all the way up in an Doric colonnade going down this road. They've excavated houses. You know what soldiers are like when sailors when they've been out at sea for weeks at a time, and they get ashore with a lot of money in their pocket. Time to party. So they would spend that money. This city kind of became like the Las Vegas of the Roman world. It was a learning center. We found they've excavated a number of different college-type schools there for philosophers. It was huge on religious pluralism too, just like Athens was. The Demeter and Bacchus cult were very big there. Or Bacchus, the same as Dionysus. And Aphrodite temple, which you can just make out on the hill there in the distance, up on the top. The ruins are still there. They had 1,000 temple priestesses, so-called temple priestesses. They were really ritual prostitutes. And they would come down every night, and they walked through the city of Corinth. Not just biblical authors, but secular authors describe what these were. They had these clogs, these special clogs they wore, that they would go clap, clap, clap down the street in these clogs. One of them said, "Follow." The other said, "Me." Follow me, follow me. And so this was probably added to the interest sailors had in stopping off in Corinth and doing the trip over the isthmus that way, because you could always drop by for a little bit of worship while you were there. The mystery religions were big in Corinth, and some of these were totally bizarre, wild. Fertility cults. They had one where they would get down in a pit and you would be showered with blood, naked, and have sex that way. Just the rawest, most far-out kind of religious pluralism you could imagine. And so with this rampant prostitution, very wealthy homes that have been excavated there too, lots and lots of wealth, every kind of partying. The Romans argue in Roman literature that even visiting Corinth, because it was so debauched, that just even visiting there would defile you. And you know, that's pretty bad when you got the Romans pointing the finger at you. You know, they're not like Bo Peep up there. That's, you know how raw their orgies were and stuff, but they were just like, oh yeah, that, but I mean, Corinth! Oh! They just couldn't even handle it. The fact of the matter is that here you had this immense metropolis, and their entire religious and philosophical worldview had no adequate basis for even defining any kind of moral objective norms. These people had literally forgotten what the difference was between right and wrong. They just couldn't even say anymore. It was literally moral anarchy. So here's the city awash in drugs and sex and alcohol, the wealth and materialism as they're rolling in all of this money, the occult, because so many of these mystery religions and other religious forms were actually summoning spirit possession, and were basically demonically involved in trying to get evil spirits to indwell you. Rampant sexuality of every kind, all of it perfectly legal. Pedophilia, basically when you talk about having young slaves that are your sex slaves, that's just a pedophilic rape that is legal, no problem. And in a word, total moral anarchy in this city. Reminds you a little bit of Ohio State University, doesn't it? Actually, we've got some pretty raw things going on here, but frankly, we would probably have to take a back seat to these guys. These guys would probably have to really would blow our minds with what it really means to party raw. Here's the interesting thing, though. In spite of this city that was notorious, even the Romans even had a term that, so you're starting to Corinthianize now. And it was when you're totally losing control and just going hog wild on some kind of vice. They would call it Corinthianizing. So it had become an adjective, a description of totally losing all self-control. Here's the interesting point, though. Not resistant to Jesus Christ. This is the city that Paul comes walking into. And we find out that actually there was a huge response to the Word of God in this city. A fact that shouldn't surprise us that much. The truth is that when you base your life on raw self-gratification, you can do that, and yet there's an emptiness there. There's a hollowness there. You're coming home, after yet another session of whatever, or waking up out of a fog, stoned, hungover. Some sex partner last night who I can't exactly remember, and on it goes. And you sit there and you start to wonder to yourself, is this all? That's it? Yeah, I had this. Now I've been laid 50 different ways. Now what? What else is there? And it's like we come to the end of the rope. It's like this isn't really playing out. Yeah, I have experiences that seem temporarily pleasurable, and yet I'm not a happy person. I wouldn't say that I'm very happy. And as a matter of fact, there's this awful law of vanishing returns where the amount of pleasure I get from those same things seems to be diminishing, and it takes more just to get back to the same level again. You start to realize my life sucks. I'm blowing my mind on intoxicants. I'm using others' bodies and being used by them. Where's the love? That's what's missing in this whole picture of rampant hedonism, the quest for pleasure, the empty hole at the center, which we keep trying to push down. It's there. And that's why we find a lot of times people that are really raw and all out there, particularly responsive when they learn about the grace of God. They have a spiritual hunger that they're aware of. Whereas often it's the self-righteous. It's those who think they've got it all together, the successful, the rich, and the religious, who see no need for the grace of God in their lives. This could be good news for us here, ministering as we do on a campus where hedonism and so on is pretty rampant here too.